Hi Capricorn, this is your March 2019 reading. Capricorn, we have a very, very exotic as well as powerful month ahead of ourselves. We are moving towards a time when we'll finally see the first meeting of Saturn, Pluto and South Node around the start and the middle of April. And March is a period when we are sort of preparing for that, because March is a period of mutability. It is a period of change. Just before spring or fall happens, we're sort of shifting gear. And the focus of that shift is on your communication skill, on your skill of self-expression. You're sort of setting a new way of self-expression into motion. You're modifying and refining your strategy in terms of your communication, in terms of how you deal with your co-workers, how do you deal with your immediate environment, and how do you put your point across when it is required in the most powerful way. And that is happening as a part of the new moon that is happening on 6th of March all the way till 18th or 19th of March. And it is also a part of the Mercury Retrograde that is happening this month. And this shift in perspective, this shift in communication strategy, it will color the direction that your career will take, because you are ruled, Mercury rules your career houses. So it is the point where it sort of helps you redefine how you communicate with your business partners, with your co-workers, and how do you bring your whole personality to the way you communicate to your environment. And this is sort of complemented by Uranus moving into Taurus on the same day, which is a longer term transit, but it sort of brings the taste of the exotic. It brings the freedom in your self-expression. It brings a freedom in some sense of being who you are. The sense of self is sort of freed, so it can be imbibed into your daily communication in terms of your daily work that you do, which sort of enhances the way you come across to the people you relate to on a day-to-day basis. So this is happening in the first part of the month, and then in the second part of the month, the power month begins, and April will be when you'll feel it the strongest. But right from 20th of April, when we have the vernal equinox and the season changes, so does your life, in my view. You change the direction in the way you approach your career. You shift the direction in which you come across as a leader, and that begins in the Aries season. Starting from 20th of April, we have a very beautiful, very powerful full moon in your career house at the end of the month, and we'll have 2 full moons this year in your house of career. There is a lot of focus starting from 20th of March all the way till end of April on your career house. There is some chapter that it's coming to conclusion, so you can begin a new way of being in your career. Some amount of success, some amount of positivity, some amount of results of your hard work over the last 6 months, it comes to fruition to show you that the shift in approach that you're taking is working out for you. And finally, in April, we have Pluto South Node and Saturn South Node meeting together. So there is a release of an old way of being, an old phase, an old way of being as a leader coming to an end. You're releasing some way of being, even some responsibilities in terms of your career, which are sort of weighing you down and they're not letting you move to the next step in your career. That has to be released for you to be more happier, more satisfied, more secure in your job and in your life in general. The first half of the month might have some communication issues, might have some confusions. These are hints that are coming to us to sort of improve our approach, to change our approach, to embellish our approach to some extent. These are not showstoppers. These are additives to your approach. These are the changes that will help you get to the next level. So look at them in that ways, and we'll approach the month in that fashion. So let's dig into the details of things. This is a very, very exotic month. I feel that there will be some dynamic energies which will get released both in your personal life as well as in your professional life, because we have the unconventional meeting the convention here when Uranus moves into Taurus in your house of joy. So something is released in terms of joy, in terms of self-expression, in terms of this confidence to be who you are, to be yourself truly and fully in terms of your day-to-day life, in terms of the people who you relate to. So there is a conversion from being an introvert energy to an extrovert extrovert energy that I see very palpable as a part of the shift that is happening, and that process started from last year itself, but now we put that fully into motion. So let's dig into the beautiful month we have ahead of ourselves. I again apologize for the delay in doing this video, but we have some beautiful energies ahead of ourselves. There'll be more of that coming in April, so brace yourself for the changes and the new life that is coming ahead of yourself. Let's dig in. Going into the details of things, first let's look at two long-standing and long-term changes that are coming through. The first is the Mercury Retrograde, which will color most of March. I spoke about it in detail in a separate video as well, but going into further detail in terms of what it means for you, we have Mercury going retrograde for 3 weeks starting from 5th of March all the way till 28th of March in your house of communication, in your house of relatability, in your house of mindset. This is sort of a rebirth of your intelligent mind, your thinking mind. There is a shift in approach. There's a shift in strategy in the way you come across to your immediate environment that is required, which happens as part of this Mercury retrograde. So it begins with you seeing a different way of dealing, a different way of structuring your thoughts, structuring your belief, branding yourself and talking to the people who you regularly communicate with. And that could come across because of an issue in an existing situation, existing project may not going in the way you want, or maybe the branding of an existing project not being up to the mark that you wanted it to be. So there is a quality check, a check of, are we giving it whole of our personality? Are we giving it the depth that it truly deserves? Are you lowering your boundary enough to add the soul in your discussions, in your communication, the power, the firepower that exists within your soul, within yourself? Are you bringing that out when you interact with your immediate environment? And this is the exercise where you go one step below the surface. We are going away, moving away from pure analytics. Sometimes we judge ourselves purely by numbers and we forget the quality that we bring to the business, right? So this is where we move away from sheer numbers, from sheer analyticals, and we release the pressure on our analytical brain to sort of get clarity in a different way, talk in a different way, bring out a different channel, a different side of ourselves, which utilizes the personality, the unconsciousness, the non-linear thinking, the creative part of our brain, the right brain as it is called, that is activated and brought into our communication, into our branding, into who we talk to and how we talk to. This is where the sale process or the communication process or the commercial activity changes in the nature of its being. You're sort of embellishing it with something that you did not think was relevant to add before, and you realize over the course of 3 weeks that there is need to add a different flavor to what you're doing and how you're talking and how you're branding yourself, how you're branding your business, how you're branding your project, how you're communicating your project, how you're publicizing something that you're doing, how you're publicizing yourself, how you're branding yourself to the environment in which you exist. And you realize that there is something, some core part of your personality that you're not highlighting as part of that. And we sometimes hide away the most beautiful parts of us and reserve that for ourselves because we are not that open to our immediate environment. And the whole process this year, Capricorn, as I spoke about in multiple of my videos last few months, the whole process of success this year is you shedding some amount of your boundaries, some amount of your self-consciousness, opening yourself to merge with the larger set of people that you interact with. You're sort of interacting with people at a more authentic, more deeper level right now as you've done before, because you're forming partnerships where people see you for who you truly are. They admire you for your qualities, for the depth that you bring to business, for the depth of insights that you bring to the projects that you get involved in. So for being seen for who you truly are in all your colors, there is some amount of skin, some amount of boundary, some amount of this hard shell around us that needs to be shedded and let the other people in to see you for who you truly are. And that unveiling of you, in my view, is a critical part of this Mercury retrograde exercise, because that change, that unveiling happens more inside your mindset before it can be seen outside. So there is a boundary that gets lowered, in my view, and you get a perspective, you get a clarity on what is the missing piece, and that clarity, in my view, will come around 14th of March. But the first 2 weeks of the month are more about figuring out the issues that are coming in front of you in terms of your commercial projects, in terms of your co-workers, in terms of people around you maybe not behaving the way you want them to respond to, in terms of your offering, in terms of your information, them not responding in the way you thought they should, because the way you feel inside about what you're doing is different in terms of the external success of that. When you see that gap come about in anything that you're seeing, you know that there is an adjustment and approach required. And that is exactly what Mercury retrograde is about. There's a planet that rules our self-expression, and it goes reverse, and it shows a different side of self-expression to us. It shows a side of us that we were missing, that we were not bringing to our work, essentially. So there is a rethinking of approach, there is a redrafting, rewriting of a project, or a review of an old project a miscommunication might have had before. And there is a possibility at this point in time of errors happening, and we need to be careful about that, especially in the first 2 weeks of the month when you are in a process of review. My request is always not to start something new which is related to communication, because you are sort of going and revising the old. You're getting a perspective. When we are getting a new perspective, when we're getting a transformation in our approach, we wait for that to come through fully. We wait for the full amount of information to show up before we start new, because our approach is embellished. Our approach is improved by the end of the month. So it's better to sort of publish something next month in April instead of right now. Right now, I would request you to sort of look at the chaos that is happening, because you'll be very, very busy with Sun and Mercury both in your busy houses. This is the period when communication is at a high. There's a lot of work coming through. There are a lot of emails and phones and online communications, and emails not going in the way they should, etc. There's a little bit of chaos, and this is a healthy chaos, because this is a chaos which will give you some information on how to get more depth there, versus exhausting yourself with the overload of information, instead of creating a channel which is more efficient for you to handle this information. What is the messaging that is coming out of this quintile of information, this just non-stop information being thrown your way? And that will not happen through an Excel sheet. It will not happen through a whiteboard. Eureka, as I mentioned, this was not coined on the whiteboard. It was coined in a bath. There is a need for moving away from this overload of information, to take a minute to look at all of it and figure out what is it telling you, and then you will see beyond what you've seen before. There will be information sources, intuitive thoughts that you've not received before, but you would if you allow yourself the perspective, the distance that is required from it all for a minute to figure out what is happening. And it's the time you will be getting a lot of information. Quench your curiosity, take it up. I'm not saying ignore your emails at this point in time, but give yourself 15-20 minutes in the first 2 weeks of the month. Give yourself that time to get a perspective. Give yourself this distance to some extent away from the busyness. 15-20 minutes in the morning, during the day, in a shower or in a bath or something. Just giving yourself this connectivity with yourself, which is very strong right now, because our inner voices get very, very loud during this period versus the outer ones. And if we allow ourselves to hear our own voice, we'll get the insights that we have not gotten before. And this is a very rare transit that happens. Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year, but this Mercury retrograde is going backward on the last degree of the zodiac at 29 or 30 degree of Pisces. There is a fixity there. There is a fixity of thought process that has been sitting in our mind, which we did not realize. We thought this is the way we are supposed to be in our communication talents. This is the way we we are supposed to be with our co-workers. This is an approach that is fixated in your mind, in your thought process as who you are. And then this planet takes a U-turn from that fixity, from that archetype, and asks you to break the old mold and figure out a new way of doing it all over again. And Mercury is there during the new moon that is happening on 5th or 6th of March. It is standing still at the last degree of the zodiac. It stands still for a minute, gives you perspective about who you think you are, and then it asks you to take a U-turn from that point and review it again, whether you want to be who you are right now or you want to change your approach. And that is exactly what we start doing after 6th or 7th of March. When Mercury turns retrograde, we start rethinking our approach. We start refining our approach. We sort of start refueling our sense of purpose, our sense of courage, our content in our own communication. We go deep. This is a very, very mundane house on the surface of it, but when you go deep into it, this is where our courage comes from. This is our courage for changing who you are as a person, and that comes through when you dig deep in this area of your life. So you will dig deeper than surface here and get a deeper perspective, a skill set revision which will help you in your commercial life. So this is something that helps you create value for you in your day-to-day life. This is a skill set that you use on a daily basis in your job that requires refinement, and it will have to do with something related to communication, which will require refinement. It is possible that what comes out of it is that we take a course, we go for higher studies in certain area, we go deeper into a certain aspect of our job, of our career, of our talent, of our creativity, which we have not done before, and we get and understand that there is a new start required, an embellishment required in it for us to move to the next step. So this is Mercury retrograde. The second key thing that is happening, and this is all starting from 5th and 6th of March. So they are longer term transits which are starting as part of the new moon that is happening on 5th or 6th of March. The second key chain is that Uranus, the planet of sudden changes, it moves into the most beautiful spot in your zodiac, in your chart, which is in your 5th house of self-expression, love and joy. As I've been talking about it in the last couple of videos, Uranus moving into this house is the most beautiful. I think this is the most beautiful placement of Uranus in my view in the whole of the zodiac, because it's moving in the house of joy. There is an unplugging of something which yields more joy, more freedom, more confidence, more sort of this strength within you to be who you are. And you would already be feeling that from last year, I feel, because Uranus did dip very briefly from May to November. It dipped very briefly into this area last year as well. That is when the Star is Born, A Star is Born was released, and as I've been talking about it, Bradley Cooper is a Capricorn. He's a very typical Capricorn, and he has come across with his strength, right, with his hard work. He's created a new skill set, and what has happened is that he's presented that newfound creativity, that newfound joy in a new talent that he's discovered to the world. Uranus in Taurus brings out a creative part of us that we did not know existed. It sort of frees our creativity. It frees our hobbies. There might be some things. This is sort of a revamp of what we love. Revamp of who and what we love, and how much risk we take on our own talents to come out to the public, to come out to a larger audience. And this is where we take risk on our talents. So this is your self-expression that gets freed, and it's a very long-term transit. It's a 7-year transit. But what happens is that when Uranus just changes signs, which happens on which is happening on 6th of March today, that is the start of a journey, a start of a new journey. So we all feel it. The exact change, the exact shift will happen when Uranus comes on your ascendant or sun or moon. It makes a contact with them on those exact degrees during the 7-year course. But at the start of this month, we feel this shift, and we'll feel it throughout March. This shift that we are getting into a new phase of joy. We are getting into a new phase of passion. This is freedom from inhibition of expression. This is conventional meets unconventional. So there will be some amount of surprises. I think if you are already in a relationship, or you are already in a family, or you're already in a job or in a fixed situation, be prepared that you are looking at something new coming your way. You want to do something new. You will realize within your soul that there is something inside you that wants freedom of expression in terms of who you are as a person, as well as your creative talents. So we wake up to some creative desires that we did not know we had. We wake up to certain love desires that we did not know we had. This is individuality shining through. A unique mode of self-expression comes out. This is where Elvis Presley had his Uranus natally. So from his birth chart, Elvis Presley has Uranus in Taurus, not in Taurus, in Aries actually, but in the 5th house. So there's a new trend of music that he started. So the creativity over here is very, very unique, and it does not have to be typical dance or art or writing or acting that comes out as a talent from you. This could be a talent beyond ordinary, beyond what we know. This could be a talent in what you do in terms of your profession. You're bringing certain innovation out in what you do. And in Taurus, this has to be something which is of material value. So we're creating some hobby, some creative art, a completely new venture of sorts, which has value in it, which has stability in it. This is not a shot in the dark. This is something that you will realize over time that you can do very well and add your own brand of extraordinary to what you do. And that is exactly what you're doing. This is an extraordinary month where you're starting an extraordinary journey, in my view. And this aspect adds that extraordinary to it. It adds that innovation to it, that sort of breaking the mold of something which was old, you were bored with it, and it adds this embellishment, this excitement, this creativity. This is like a shot of creativity that is coming your view. And if you're already in a creative field, it changes your taste. It completely changes. This is a taste changer because you sort of are going for something new. 5th house is the house that rules who or what we take risk on. What is our exotic taste? And when Uranus comes over here, if there was a certain type of music you liked before, that shifts. If there was certain kind of music you were creating before, that shifts. John Legend is a Capricorn. He's a very, very well established Capricorn. He became popular in 2019, especially with All of Me that was released when Pluto came on his ascendant. Pluto is in Capricorn, a very, very powerful planet to have in your sign. When that came on his ascendant, on his rising sign, that was the exact degree when All of Me became a hit. And he is changing the way he creates music. He's trying to bring about a very different, maybe even a political element to some extent, but he launched Preach just now. It's like depicted as a pastor on a protest rally. It's a very unique self-expression. You're moving away from your old way of expressing yourself to an exotic and a more creative way, and that adds a lot of joy to you because it's a sense of freedom that you get, a freedom from inhibition from previous conventional way of being. And this is where we already start feeling a little bit restless. We start feeling restless in something that we want to change in our self-expression, in our creativity. Maybe we are bored of the kind of hobbies we have before, bored of the way we are handling even something in our love life, the kind of people who we love, that changes with this, and the way we love as well changes. So whether it is in the way you handle your children or your lovers, you want some creativity there, you want a difference there, and Uranus sort of adds excitement to your love life. This is like exotic love. It is exotic love. So the typical person that you may love, that shifts, that changes. And this can be exciting even for existing relationships because there's more excitement in how you handle love relationships now. There's a shift in terms of how we handle love relationships, and you don't like the passivity in it anymore. I mean, John Legend's sound, again coming back to it, he said what he wanted to do with Preach, the new song that he released, was that he wanted to silently go against passivity of politicians. And this is exactly what you'll feel. You want to go against passivity right now. You don't want passive behavior anymore. Taurus is a very stable sign, but it is a little bit passive. And sitting in hobbies, it's like you like the exotic, you like the creation of things which are beautiful, but here there is a passivity which is given away, a convention that is given away to add a more progressive way of doing things, whether it is in how you handle your love relationships, how you think about children, whether you wanted to previously not have, or you wanted to, the viewpoint about having children shifts. Even Uranus in fifth houses, and I've said this before, it is definitely and surely involved with sudden pregnancies. So take it the way you want, but this is something that happens, so being careful in that sense. But the ideation of how you want to be as a parent, how do you want to parent your child, that becomes very unique and different from before. What kind of people you love, as I said, that changes. Then creativity will come in batches. If you're already a creative person, have a little bit patience with this energy, because you will see spurts and ups and downs in creativity. Suddenly a spurt will come and a brilliant idea comes through, and you have to be ready for it. This is sort of the kind of eureka moment suddenly comes out of nowhere. And if you are in a profession where you have to be regularly creative, be a little bit prepared that this will come in spurts, and be ready for that, and use technology, use a recorder, use things to sort of note down your points, the things that are coming to you, because they will be brilliant and they will be different. They will be sort of shattering the old, shattering the norm, the convention essentially, and they can be very, very lucrative. I mean, Elvis Presley did break the norm, and that became a hit in a different way, and that's how this energy plays out generally in the creative fields. Sorry, I'm taking a lot of time in this, but it is a long-term transit. It starts from now, March of 2019, all the way to 2026. But it starts you on a very different journey, in my viewpoint, and this adds a very positive aspect to you. It's in a trinal aspect to you, so it adds to who you are. It does not disrupt your life. It does not disrupt your career. It does not disrupt who you are as a person. It embellishes who you are as a person. It adds to who you are. This is also where introverts become extroverts. Our interaction with the outer world creatively increases. Our emotional flow outward and the spontaneity that we have in our partnership, in our relationship, that sort of increases. Because this is an area where we find childlike joy. So that childlike joy goes out, and the guard is a little bit down and it flows out. There is a confidence boost in being who you are. The sense of self gets boosted as a part of this energy. We have I think Capricorns age the best that I have seen so far. I mean, you take Kate Middleton, Michelle Obama, Betty White, she's turning 95, Ellen DeGeneres. These are all typical Capricorn. And we are seeing most of them change their approach, and you'll see that come about more and more in the coming days. The creators who we know and the creators who we don't know, who are Capricorn, they come out and they start showing their talents outwardly. If at the very least we show more creativity in what we do on a day-to-day basis, and I would encourage you to do that, to get ahead of this energy, to add something new to your life, in both in the way you connect with your partner, in the way you connect with your children, in the way you add creativity on a day-to-day basis in your self-expression in your work. I would request you to get ahead of this journey and start adding that, and you'll feel very, very positive results come through, because you're flowing in line with the energy that is rife right now. So these are longer term transits. Now let's dig into what's happening by week and dates during the course of the month. The first key event is, of course, 6th of March, when we have the new moon in Pisces, which is happening in your house of communication. Now from 6th of March to about 19th of March, we have this fresh infusion of energy into our communication houses, a new skill that we might be looking to acquire. And Mercury retrograde will give you an idea of what you truly want to embellish in terms of your speaking skills, in terms of your communication skills, and there is a new energy available to you. But what is so beautiful about this new moon on 6th of March, and from 6th to 9th of March, I'll request you to specifically be on lookout for it, is that Neptune is making a very strong aspect with this new moon. And Neptune is our highest form of inspiration. What it does is that it lowers our boundaries to ideologies which are different from us. And that is already happening as a part of Uranus moving into your house of self-expression as well. So there is an opportunity for us to think about our life, to think about the way we connect, to the way we present ourselves to the world in a way we have not done before, because our self-imposed limitations, they get lowered for a brief moment so we can dream much higher than before. And I will encourage you to take time from 6th to 9th of March specifically to sort of, and it will happen to some extent naturally, switching off of this limitation on yourself, on who you can become, switching that part of us off, which is Saturn normally, and you're ruled by Saturn, so it's not an easy task. But Neptune over there enables you to dream beyond your limitations on who you could become as a person socially. If you did not have that restriction, how would you interact with people in your surrounding, in your network, in your business network, if you did not impose, if there was not a voice behind in your mind telling you, oh, you cannot, you should not, this is not you, this is not, you need to limit yourself, this is your boundary. If that voice is switched off for 3 days, who would you be? How would you interact with the environment around you? And that is exactly what Neptune does. It lowers our self-imposed boundaries with our co-workers, with our immediate environment, and we see a very different side of ourselves. And we should interact with people around you, interact with people. If there was any other sign, I would tell them, because this is a Pisces full moon, new moon. We are very sensitive in this time. I will tell them to sort of be in isolation, but not for you. I would encourage you to get more ideas from your environment, absorb everything you can in terms of information, in terms of intuitive knowledge, in terms of skill sets from your surroundings. You'll be like a sponge right now. You will absorb new ideas, new inspirations, new thought process, these uncanny insights into subtlety of things, the undercurrent which others would be missing. You will catch them. The meaning behind exchanges which everybody is missing, the trends that everybody is missing, you will catch them. The downside is we only see the good. I don't even see that as a downside. The downside is that we glorify things, which is fine. For 3 days, I think we should allow that, because after 9th of March, you anyways have Saturn play in. But for these 3 days, the positive inspiration, the emote side of us that is highlighted, the spiritual, the intuitive capabilities, just looking beyond facts and numbers that are presented to us, the sort of connection, which is very, very different. It's a soul connection. It is a connection that nobody else will have with the things that are being said, which you would. You'll be hearing something that others won't. There is a new start in that intuitive skill set that begins with this process, and you gain more confidence in this unspoken skill that you have of being able to figure out these trends that others miss, these trends and what's happening in the environment, in the industry that you are in. What does the other person want? It is like when you enter a room, you know what the other person wants. This skill set that most people do not have, but you do. With Pisces and Neptune in your 3rd house, you have this gift of being able to feel what the other person wants before they say it. I mean, just looking at if you haven't looked at the performance of Bradley Cooper in Oscar, I would highly recommend to see that. He directed that whole move of how it should be presented to the audience and the way they'll lap it up. Knowing this skill set of knowing the room, getting in a room and knowing how to react to that room. This is a skill set that you are honing, you're acquiring, and you're unique in having, and this is your strength and your positivity. And this new moon sort of gives you the light, the knowledge to acknowledge it. You sort of know it in an instant. Oh, I did not see I have the superpower, so as to speak, or this strength. And this is a very, very commercially viable strength. This is not something hokey. It's not up 10,000, 20,000 feet or anything. This is something which is required in the day-to-day interaction with clients, with people you relate to. And you're sort of becoming the kind of person who will relate to more people. With North Node in your house of relationships, you will be forming partnerships. You will be forming powerful partnerships with people. Now, in order to do that, this is a skill set that is very, very important. Understanding what the other person wants. The perspective of the third is what you're getting at this point in time, which others will lack. The one downside, as I said, is that we can get overboard. Do not rely on other people's here. This is about your own inspiration, hearing yourself, not others. This is about your inner thought process coming to light, not somebody else's. So when our boundaries are lower and we are taking a lot of information from our environment, the downside happens is that we absorb somebody else's viewpoint, and we need to be careful about that. In the symbolic astrology, the degree at which this new moon is happening, it is represented as in the quiet of a study, a creative individual expresses a flow of inspiration. That man is sitting alone. He's an individual. He's listening to his own inner source, not to the external source. He's absorbing what he's seeing, but the inspiration is within himself. Being a little bit careful, because your boundaries with your co-workers will be lower right now. Similarly, this is also your house of sibling. Your boundaries with your sibling will be lower as well right now. So not getting pulled into things which do not exist, but look at your own inner intuition and inspiration versus the external messaging. Judging the external messaging very, very astutely, using the superpower, as I call it, that Capricorns have, which is of reading the room and knowing how to react. Michelle Obama on Oscars as well. I mean, looking at her performance, you know she knows how to read the room. This is a Capricorn strength with Neptune in your third house for a very long time. This is our generation Capricorns. They have the strength of being able to read the room and being able to react and read and communicate in the way that the audience will lap it up. And this is something that I would highly suggest you to make use of in your commercial life. This is not abuse of power. I'm sorry if anybody thinks like that. This is emotional appeal to the channel that you're addressing, and you are sort of molding your marketing, your branding according to it. This is a mutable season. This is the season of shifting and change according to the environment and honing your skill, essentially. So this is what is happening as a part of the new moon from 6th of March to 19th of March. This is happening at 16 degree and Neptune is there. So if you're born, if your planet's around 16 degree of Capricorn, or if you're born around 6th of January, a few days ahead, a few days afterwards, you'll feel this energy very strongly. This is sort of a tool that is available in your armor, which I would suggest you to take use of. This is not the time to start a new project, but embellish your old project right now with it. Embellish your thought process and start laying the groundwork. Especially after 9th of March, it is the time to start laying the groundwork for the new, but not launch it. At this point in time, understand what is required. Then from 7th to 13th of March, specifically on 10th and 11th of March, we have Mars and Neptune meeting each other. This is a very romantic time. With Mars in your 5th house and Uranus in your 5th house, this is the time when our love life is sort of stoked. And you are activated, you're ready to take action. You feel more inspired to take action in areas of creativity, area of love, area of your children. You do something different with your children. Do something different with your loved one. And 10th and 11th of March are the days to do something different. They are a time of expression. They're a time of acting with your loved ones, doing something, laying some groundwork of a creative project as well, or a new communication project that you're working on. This is a very stabilizing influence. So after the high of the Neptune till 9th of March, then around 10th and 11th, we feel more grounded. And I really like that the Capricorn country, United Kingdom, as I mentioned before, is a Capricorn country. The date of birth being 1st of January. This is a country who will have Brexit vote on 12th of March, and I'm happy that it's happening at that time, even though it's during Mercury retrograde, which I do not like, but at least some amount of sanity might prevail as part of that. And India is a Capricorn country as well, and as many of you will know, there are a lot of political issues which are going on at that time with the attacks with Pakistan, etc. Hopefully there is a stabilizing influence in the global events as a part of what happens in the middle of the month. But what is most beautiful about the middle of the month, or the 14th of March specifically, is that Sun and Mercury come together. During the Mercury retrograde period, these two planets coming together is a clarity of purpose emerging. There's a clarity that emerges, some important part of the puzzle, some important information is revealed around 14th of March for you, which unplugs some amount of commercial project for you. It could be a commercial project, it could be just an aha moment by you understanding something on how to collaborate with somebody, and this is in positive flow with your house of partnership. So some communication either through a business partner comes through, or you understand how to relate better with your partner, whether it is a committed partner personally or with your business partner, and you start putting that into action, and that comes out to be a very productive outcome of this Mercury retrograde cycle. And this is also the time when we start feeling very, very powerful in what we are saying, what we are doing, because Sun, Pluto, and Mercury and Pluto. So these two planets are touched by Pluto in your sign. Pluto is sheer power. So power touches your ambition and your voice, specifically on 13th of March and 15th of March. So if there are any review, any reconciliations, any issues that you might have faced with your co-workers or with your communication strategies, starting to very powerfully, constructively fixing them between 11th to 15th of March, and start laying the groundwork for the new, start going deeper into something. If you want to sort of review certain old documents, certain old contracts where there were issues, and you need to review them to figure out issues in them and revise them, 13th of March and 15th of March are the best times to do that, to revise the contract, to go deeper into things. These are very powerful, focused dates. What we need to be careful of at this time is that Jupiter is squaring the Sun and Mercury right now. So we follow the golden rule of Mercury retrograde. We do not commit to something at this point in time. We do not sign on dotted line. We do not sign into some contract. We do not sign somebody new. We do not sign a new co-worker. We do not hire somebody formally at this point in time, especially for you, a co-worker or somebody. If there is an issue, we do not sign something at this point in time. If possible, we delay it to after 28. Now, life doesn't stop for anybody. So if you have to sign something, put the provisions in it, put the clauses in it for you to be able to change it in the month of April. Then on in the middle of the month, there's another energy that starts acting up, which is very important, and it's an April trend for you, which is Pluto and South Node coming together. They're very close around the middle of the month, all the way to the exact conjunction which happens on 5th of April. Pluto and South Node, they're coming together for the first time in your sign after a long time. This is where we are losing what's not of value. We have to get rid of something, some way of leadership, maybe even a responsibility at work which is sort of bogging you down. It is holding you back from what you truly want to do, what you truly want to achieve in your work. There's some weighing down in your career, in your personality, in the way you are as a leader that needs to be shed. There is a skin that needs to be shed. And with this epiphany moment, I believe, you start working on giving up something that is not helping you, and you start partnering with somebody to create more value out of what you're doing. It could be that you start partnering with somebody or delegating some amount of your work so you can focus on what you truly want to do. You might be looking at a more efficient way of operating in terms of your career, in terms of your work. In some few cases, especially if you have planets around 22 degree of Capricorn, which means if you're born around 12th of January, there is a possibility of a career change as well that might come with this, especially if you have planets around 22 degree of Capricorn, or if you're born around 12th of January, there might be a shift in your career direction that you might take as a part of it, because you're looking at maybe starting your own business or starting a business venture with a business partner, or you're looking to sort of give up your current job or a current role for a new one. So some new perspective about how you want to proceed for a longer period of time in your career to lay down a more firmer foundation of your career, that comes through at this period in time, and the full implementation of that comes in April. But because Pluto is involved here, this is a very powerful, you feel in power, you are initiating this change, you are initiating this shift for yourself, because you want to feel more powerful, more authentic, more true to yourself in what you're doing. This whole energy is very, very influential for people who have planets between 18 degree to 24 degree of Capricorn. So if you're especially born between 8th of January to 14th of January, you'll feel this middle of the month, this epiphany, this strength in what you're saying, the strength in mindset to be very, very strong at this point in time. It's a very, very powerful month, a very strong beginning that is coming after 20th of March in my viewpoint for you, with not just Pluto making contacts with the personal planets, we also have Mars and Pluto working together, specifically around 20th of March, and you'll start feeling that from 17th or 18th of March. This is very, very high confidence in what you're doing. Your actions are filled with confidence, your self-expression is filled with confidence. You're sort of ready to for starting something new. You're ready to start a new phase. You're ready to sort of lay down the ground of a new approach completely, and you're looking to transform your actions accordingly with this new knowledge that has come through over the period of last couple of weeks. You start using that practically in your day-to-day manner, and with Mars and Pluto together, the creativity starts flowing in your work, the creativity starts showing up in our relationship. This is really, really powerful and hot from a personal relationship perspective. Especially 20th of March looks like a date night to me, 18th, 19th, 20th specifically. With Mars and Pluto together, this is a very, very sexy energy. Even Venus and Jupiter working together, this is like a very, very positive time for romance, for relationships, for partnerships, especially for romantic relationships around this time. And overall for creative ventures, very, very powerful time to communicate, to talk to people, to lay down the grounds of something new that you're starting right now. And then on 20th of March, we have Vernal Equinox. We have a new season starting. We'll have spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. Vernal Equinox is the time when season changes, and that is the time of a new start. And you'll feel it in your core. You'll feel it in your core that there is a new sense of security, a new sense of safety, a new sense of being okay with who you are that is there. And you're looking to heal that part of yourself, because we have Sun and Chiron together in that house. There is a wound to self-identity, to security that existed before, which will be brought to light for healing. Because we all have our unique gifts. We all have our unique strengths. We have our unique weaknesses. Here we sort of think to ourselves that I am me and nothing else, and I can't hide my identity, and I'm fine with being who I am. I want to keep it real. And that is what Chiron releases. And it's a part of the healing process that you'll go through as you become more successful in what you're doing, as you become more successful in your own brand of success, as you become more positive in your own brand of success, as you become more positive and comfortable in your own skin, in your own self-expression, as a part of the transits that are happening right now and as a part of our regular evolution. But specifically around 20th and 22nd of March, you'll feel this realization that I did have an identity wound about who I am, of being comfortable with who I am, with the largest set of people. And that comes to light for healing as a part of this process. And that comes with a beautiful full moon that is happening just a few hours after Sun moves into Aries on 20th of March, which will have an impact at the minimum for the next 2 weeks for you. And it is happening at a critical axis for you. This is happening in your house of career. something comes to light in your career, something comes to conclusion, a positive conclusion, a chase of a beautiful dream, in my view, comes to a conclusion with that. There's an end of phase one of achievement in your career. It could be in form of recognition, it could be in form of a project coming to closure, a phase of a project coming to closure, or maybe recognition in terms of value, confidence, money that you get out of something that you've been working on over the last 6 months. Because over the last 6 months we've been having full moon and new moon at the exact degrees to create something beautiful for us professionally and creatively in our life, and that comes to a conclusion with this full moon in Libra. And this is a last super moon we have. We have been having super moon since January. Super moon is when moon is closest to earth in its axis, and with the full moon, the moon is fully illuminated, and it will look really beautiful and closer to earth. And with that comes to conclusion a beautiful phase in your career, a perfect butterfly. In symbolic astrology, it is shown as a perfect butterfly which is sort of impaled by a fine dart. So there is a beauty that is fixated in place. There's some amount of beauty that you've created, which is like a legacy in your career that you've created, which will be there for people to see. Something beautiful you have created in your career, and a phase one of that comes to fruition, but it does come at a cost. The cost is of us letting go some part of us which is not going to serve us anymore in future. It could be an inhibition that we have in our self-expression. It could be an inhibition that we show when we interact with the audience around us. It could be inhibition in terms of us taking on too much on ourselves versus delegating and actualizing the whole network, actualizing the whole team, and becoming this, I'm sorry to say, but this is a trademark of Capricorn, becoming a one-man army, getting rid of that attitude to some extent to be able to allow an achievement for a larger set of people together versus slogging out alone. This attitude, it will require you to give up some part of you. It will require you to even give up some part of insecurity, if I can call that, which has to be given away because you have so much greatness in store for you right now. Look at the kind of strength in terms of as a country, in terms of changes as a country, as personality, the sign of Capricorn is gaining right now. This is prominence which is coming through without doubt, with South Node, Saturn, Pluto together. These are power planets coming together in your house, in your own sign for the first time ever in our lifetime. This is sheer power in your sign, and it's asking you to shed the old skin, shed any lack of faith in your own skills that you have right now, because we don't do anybody justice by having doubts on our own talents. And that is a messaging of this full moon in Libra, of liberating yourself from any sense of insecurity to bring yourself out in your full colors. And when the light will be on you, which will be for the next one whole month in my view, because the next full moon that is happening in April as well is in your house of career as well. This is a very rare year where you have two full moons happening in your house of career. There'll be a lot of focus on your career. Now with that happening, all our insecurities, all our sense of doubt on our personality, on our identity, on being able to do it, all of that comes to light, which Sun and Chiron, as I mentioned, will highlight on 22nd of March. And the beauty is that you'll be able to overcome that at this point in time. With Chiron there, you're looking to heal that part of you that does not allow you to sort of come out in your full colors to the audience. Come out in your full colors to the people in authority. Come out in full colors with all of your power out in your career, in the way you display yourself to the audience in front of you. So this sort of happens with very beautiful aspects. The ruler of this full moon is Venus, and that is making a positive aspect with Jupiter in your house of faith. So there is some value, confidence infusion, or an actual money infusion that is seen as a result of you having faith in your skill sets. And we find Venus and Mars meeting together, which is, again, it's a very, very sexy time. If you are in a romantic relationship, this is very, very beautiful time to be dating somebody or to just go out with somebody on 21st of March, do not, if possible, start a relationship this month. When Mercury is retrograde, we do not see what is in front of us clearly. So don't go for a new relationship if possible at this point in time, or just keep it casual. Keep it casual at this point in time and make it more committed over the period of time as we see things more clearly. But it's a very, very passionate, very creative, very, very suitable time to sort of let ourselves be seen. And with Venus in your second house, it's a great time to start a new diet, to start any beauty routines, to sort of figure out if there's a change in beauty routine that we need. All of that with Venus in your second house of finer things in life. It's a great time to do that. Being a little bit careful in terms of not taking undue financial risk. This is not the time to do that. With Venus and Mars working together, especially on around 21st of March, this is not the time to take undue financial risk at this point in time. And with Uranus moving into your 5th house, you will get more speculative in the way you invest your money as compared to before, because you'll be changing your risk appetite overall. But because Mercury is retrograde right now, it may not be the time to do that. It is the time to research it through, but not actually invest in it at this point in time. Then on 26th of March, we have Venus moving into your 3rd house of communication. So the things that you've thought about that you want to launch, Venus is going to support that. It will add beauty to it, and it's meeting Uranus right away. So there is some new ideas, creative ideas coming your way to go for it. And now is the time, after Mercury goes direct, after 28th of March, to start launching your ideas, to start introducing this new insights that you've got throughout this month. And with Mars moving into your 6th house, you can start laying down the groundwork for it, start setting up the processes for it in April. So April will be the time when you'll feel, when it's all cardinal energy and you're a cardinal sign, you'll feel very go for it. Efficiently things start rolling out. The existing opportunities that have come your way, then you start implementing them in the most efficient way during the course of April. And we have to give up something which is outdated, which is outmoded, which has to be thrown away in the way of being in our career, in the way we show up to the world, in the way we are as a person, because we have so much greatness in store for us. I'm so excited, not just for this month, but for the life you have ahead of yourself. With Saturn, Pluto in your sign, I get really excited when I do Capricorn readings, because they look so fabulous in terms of the opportunity, the long-term opportunities that are coming to you, and you're creating something that is like a legacy that will last for a long time beyond you, and I'm really excited for that. So good luck for that, and have a great month ahead of yourself. I'll see you in the next powerful month for you, which is April, and we'll dig into details of the Saturn Pluto South Node conjunction at the time. Thank you.